I'm going to introduce you, and then we're going to have a conversation, and it's going to be real
Cool.
talk, and it's going to be wonderful. So thanks for being here.
You got it.
If you've ever experienced a dance floor that felt less like a party and more like a perfectly orchestrated emotional experience, there's a good chance that my friend Jeff was behind it. Or as some of you may know him, DJ Hampster Dance. I met Jeff for the first time at our friend Britt's wedding in the cities right before Patrick and I relocated to Fargo. And I'm not even being dramatic when I say it was love at first sight. You know, when you meet someone and immediately recognize a kindred spirit, that was Jeff. Equal parts wildly creative, deeply grounded, superhuman, and just fun. The kind of person who can destroy a $1.50 Costco glizzy, wear mismatched socks with confidence, and still read a room with surgical precision. Jeff has a degree in physiology and once thought he'd become a doctor, and in some ways he did. He just chose a different operating room and a different kind of medicine. He delivers unhinged mashups and make you want to dance and say what just happened all at the same time. More fun facts. He was a show choir dance captain who can still high kick on demand. Have seen, can confirm. He's a proud cat dad to Margot Robbie. He once drove 2,300 miles across Vietnam on a motorbike, got sober in 2008, decided he didn't need alcohol to throw the best party in the room. In 2010, an auto generator randomly named him DJ Hampster Dance, and instead of overthinking it, he leaned in. By 2018, he walked away from teaching and coaching to pursue DJing full-time. By 2021, he was running his own solo operation. By 2022, his wildly creative TikTok mashups went viral, landing brand collaborations, interviews, and opportunities to travel the country, throwing epic parties, including a Taylor Swift-themed birthday. Here's what I want you to know about Jeff. He's a real one. He's committed to his craft, committed to his people, committed to growth, committed to friendship. He understands that throwing a party is personal, that music is about knowing who people are and building something that reflects that back to themselves. Since moving to Fargo, we've stayed connected and worked together at every possible opportunity. And every time I walk away more impressed, not just with the talent, but with the integrity. Jeff brings joy without chaos, energy without ego, weirdness without pretense. He's built a business that feels like him. And I think the world of him. As a professional, as a partner, as a friend, I'm genuinely thrilled to have this conversation. So buckle up and welcome to Real Talk.
Yo, that was the most intense awesomeness intro I've ever received in my life. It's wild when someone like reads things off and you're like, wait, that's cool.
That's
Wow,
who you
thanks for
are.
that.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that was awesome. Cool. Thank you. I'm like sitting here, I'm like, oh, I'm blushing. I don't do well with when people talk about me, you know.
Yeah, I
Great.
get that. I recognize that. If someone did that to me, I'd probably just end the call. So thanks for
Oh,
bearing with
wow.
me. And I genuinely, I remember sitting at Britt and Tramel's wedding reception at this table and being
Yeah.
like, I don't know if we're moving to Fargo or not, but I want to be where this guy is. And Fargo is not where you are, but it's a lot closer than Utah was.
Yeah.
And I'll take it. So thanks for being who you are. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah. When was that? Was that in 2021?
That was,
22?
we moved to Fargo in it was May of 2023.
It was 23.
Yep.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I'm not good with dates.
No, everything's a blur since, I don't know, at least the last 6 years, if not more.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, 23. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
which
so
is 3 years ago.
I want to say, genuinely, as somebody who's done wedding photography, did it full time for years. Patrick does it now. We've sat through more than our fair share of weddings and receptions. And the DJ, I'm biased, right? Photo video. The DJ makes or breaks the wedding and reception. And there is an element of I want to be clear that I'm not being silly when I say you are a doctor. You do create spaces that heal and help people. And I just want to start there. How did you get into what you do?
I've never heard anyone related to that, and thinking that was my previous career choice as from when I was in high school. I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor. I'm gonna go be to now being you're a doctor with it. Just now it's on a dance floor. It's so cool. It's kind of weirdly a awesome analogy I've never heard before. Yeah. When did I start? How did I go through it? Let's see. So I started in 2010. So I was in undergrad. I got into it from my brother, and some friends were doing things. That was kind of where the journey started. basically it's just like a constant evolution of like what's next, what's this, what's that. And now like so I was in show choir. I played in bands. Like I've always been music oriented, musically talented, whatever. And a performer. Like I figured that out in high school. Like I'm a performer. So it's cool that like just like now where things have evolved is like kind of like what I did. I just didn't know like how to like output that like
Yeah.
creative outlet, and now it's like cool that I get to integrate it as like a career and like life, putting in like what I love to do like for work. So 2010 was when it started kind of with my brother. And it was kind of like a whole journey because at first it was very much like playing on iTunes like playlist and like running some like cool lights.
Yep.
But it's so funny because I wasn't like a DJ. But what's cool is that I think had so much more weight into like where I am now than I thought, because it forced an emphasis on song selection. And so like that was driven early of like, okay, you are like playing a playlist. So if someone requests a song, you have to like navigate where to put it. Or like you have like 30, you're playing full songs. So it's like you have 30 songs to play. So you better choose carefully and you better play bangers and you can't like take risks and shit. So it was like that. But then as it evolved and then I actually learned how to like DJ and like mix songs and blend and like move through and plow. And like now, take some more risks and do some things, but it's still like the priority of like you gotta play. I always like think of it as like bangers only. You gotta play bangers, right? Like there's different levels of things, and of course, like I feel like in a room, a dance floor, a night, like whatever type of event, it's almost like taking people on like a journey. And it's interesting because I just did this party. It was a recession pop themed party. So very much like 2008 to like 2012, like pop dominated. And it's all like fast, like all the bangers. They're all like Gaga, Kesha. Right? So, and I was like, holy shit. Wait, can I?
You're allowed to swear.
Okay.
It's a safe space.
Okay. I was like, holy shit. I'm like exhausted because I'm like at this. So but at a normal event, it's like a blend of like, you can't stay. Like your heart rate can't stay here, your energy can't stay here. But it doesn't mean you have to. So it's finding a way to maneuver and allow space to breathe. Like you can't run a party or a dance floor for like an hour straight. A BPM. Like people need chances to breathe, and obviously like different parties and genres and styles of music. But it's important to like let a dance floor breathe too. But so 2010 was the start. I've done like everything I feel like in my life. 2018 I was coaching, teaching, all that stuff, and I was like, this sucks, I don't like it. What am I supposed to do with my life? And I was like, well, I've been doing this DJ thing for a while, like I'm pretty good at it, like why don't I just like run with this and see what works? And I kind of had to just like map out like things of like investing, like getting like insurance, all these things of like being an entrepreneur. And it kind of just like rolled, and then it's just like evolved since then. 2020 I worked in my buddy's company, did some freelance work that kind of helped like offload some of the burden I was struggling with, like trying to get my own gigs and stuff. And then 2021 it was a leap of faith. It was like, you know what, I am better working for myself. I realized like I don't like working for other people. I like being my own boss. Like if I like creatively like see something or want something, I want to do it. I don't like having like a room of people that I have to like pitch something to then do. It's just like, I think that this works and it should go, so we should do it. Then I want to roll with it. So that was kind of part of it, and just like needing to like branch out. So 21 I was solo and kind of just have been flowing since. And my career, life, everything has just like morphed so much in the last like 5 years. It's wild. It's 2026 and like what's happened,
It is wild. It is wild. And like I think the journey is so helpful to like frame a little bit about like who you are and how we ended up here. And I think that we kind of started this conversation even before I hit record on like, so 6 years the world's changed a lot. And I think that's genuinely one of the things that, like, when I think about the first New Year's Eve party we got to do, um, first of all, like the energy is like I don't know, like I don't know your gym regimen, but like you are not a passive DJ. Like you are busy, you are moving, you are
Yeah.
engaging, you are hosting a party in a way
Yeah.
that like I don't think I had seen somebody do in one singular role. Like maybe an MC,
Mm.
maybe a DJ, maybe a band, but like
Yeah.
you were like, hey, I'm doing this. This is what's happening, and your job and you took it so seriously. It was like, what is this space and how do we host it? And like it
Yeah.
was like for me, I can't like really think about you and your work without thinking about like hospitality. So like you made
Mm.
this space accessible. You made this space easy to be in. There was like some karaoke thing like before you started, and like the people who were bought into you and what you were doing were bought into like your thing. And so like it was the most like supportive, cheer for these people on stage, like safe, enjoyable communal
Mm.
space that for us, I mean, we were really coming out of the pandemic. Like we had moved from Utah in 2023. So this was New Year's, like December 31st, 2023, I guess. And like it still felt like, oh, we have to like relearn how to be people in spaces together again. And like
Yeah.
you were hosting a New Year's Eve party, but there was a whole lot more happening that I think is so incredibly important.
Mm. It's cool that some of your like buzzwords and ways that it's fun to see other people like describe things and like how like the journey like has grown for like people that have been with obviously like Vanessa, same thing, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but like safe community, connection, relationships, like hosting, like I think
Hmm.
that all of that is cool because those are like things that you want, wish, achieve, like strive for, like are in like, you know, my line of like thinking. But you to hear it from other people is validating because like that's like what I want, you know, like
Yeah.
that's what we're going for. Um, I've always been like relationship, like connection based. I think that it's important for anything, whether it's like a dance party, it's a wedding, it's an event, or it's just like personal, like things like that. I think for me, I'm I'm not very good with like personal space. Um, these are things I work on as an adult, right? But I didn't know. But for me, so I ask way too many questions. I am very loud, and I am very like unaware of my personal space. And I think for people, when I first meet people, it can be maybe too much. And then anyone that like sticks around and they're like, wait, I like this guy, then they realize they're like, oh, that no, like it's genuine.
Yeah.
So I do I do struggle with stuff like that. But that's like I seek connection.
Yeah.
And so when I throw an event or like have a dance party or I'm DJing, like those are priorities.
Yeah.
And I find that it gives me more to like keep going. Um, I am 37 and I'm getting exhausted. 3 hours of like nonstop is like crazy. Yeah, like 3.5 hours, I'm like, I'm done. I'm like
Yeah.
cooked because if it's going and it's operating and doing like how I want and how I would
Hmm.
foresee like the party, like is high energy like the whole time, whether it's like a slow song, like right. So, and I love to dance and move, so it's just like yeah, a lot of incline walks. That's the way that I
Okay.
like
Good to
train,
know.
but I have to like honestly, I have to because I otherwise I do get fatigued. So there is like
Yeah.
some like conditioning behind the scenes, just because I know like my limits. But yeah, like connecting with people on the dance floor is awesome. And through like, you know, we talk about like song selection and like doing all
Yeah.
these things, like when I am able to like see someone and like have a moment with them and like sing and jump and dance and like be present with like that song for a moment in that song, I get so much re-energization
Yep.
and I'm recharged to keep going from them, whether it's a singular person or it's like a crowd. And so when the whole crowd is like buzzing, it's electric. and it fuels me. And then on the flip, I think it's just like, it's just like the circle of like, I think when I am engaged, energizing, hype, having a good time, spreading like joyous love and like trying to like connect with people, then I think it fuels them. And they're like, this guy's fun. Like, this is
Yeah.
cool. Like, we're having a good time. And it's just like kind of this like symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
It's almost like being like one with the crowd, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and if there's disconnect, it sucks. And whether that is just in like music, and that's where I think too of like aligning with people like under, I think over the years I've done a good job to, I want people to come to my party or to hire me for an event that have similar like tastes, interests, and stuff
Yep.
too. Like, it makes like everything better. Not that I can't, but if I were to DJ a party or something that didn't align, like, I don't know, it doesn't get that like energetic like circle kind of thing rolling.
Yeah.
So like that's a big thing, like alignment. And then I found too, like, I don't like being on stages.
Yep.
I so there's a balance of like how that works. Like, obviously the New Year's one we just did,
Mm-hmm.
we tried a 360, and I thought that was super fun. But there's been like times where like when there's like a barrier between me and people,
Yep.
and I'm like on this like stage, it feels weird and distant. I want to be like with the people.
Well, and like I want to.
Yeah.
There are a million things you said that I want to come back and talk about, but I'm going to start with that one
Yeah.
because, like, for you, it's who you are. It's not a performance, and so like I think there
Yeah.
is this element where like I can like your desire is like where is the party and how is it moving, and like I think about you like literally like kind of what you were talking about, like you are one with that party, and like if there's a distance, if there's a separation, if there's an elevation, it's like I'm up here and you're gonna be down there, and like that is
Yeah.
not your energy at all. So
No.
like that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, it's a total like balance of trying to, and it just adds to like the connection, thing. And I think it is funny that you say like performance too. Like, it definitely is like performance, but it's real. Like,
Hmm.
I get excited, I move, like that's just part of who I am. But there is definitely Jeff and DJ Hamster Dance,
Yep.
and like balancing the two
Yep.
is at times difficult.
Yep.
Um, but I think that is something I realize. Like, it's funny, like as you like grow and experience and like live and like trial and error, right?
Hmm.
Like doing
Hmm.
things, doing events, like all this stuff. Like, as you do these things, figuring things out, and like that was something I realized. I thought, and this is all kind of back into like the 6 years you're talking about, like COVID. Like, I thought that I had to always be performative,
Yeah.
and that was my like personality, and that was who I
Yep.
was. But it is who I am and my personality, and like it's real and authentic, but it's a part of me because I also love to like be quiet
Hmm.
and alone and recharge and have my space. And so now, like, finding it is, that I don't always have to be on. I don't
Yep.
always have to, like, because that's like exhausting too, but I can turn it on and it's real, but then I can't have it on all the time. So that was
Well,
that was an interesting thing too.
I think you've hit on something that I'm sure other people feel that like I'm not two different people. I'm complicated. Like can't this be a
Yes.
part of who I am? And like I think there is if I wanted to be judgy, I'd say sorry, I'm more complex than you. If I wanted to be more sympathetic, I'd be like I don't know what these are for you, but I'm sure they exist too. And like
Yeah.
I've said repeatedly, like I will give you every single thing I have. But at the end of the night I need you to go home because I need my home to be mine, because that's how I recharge. I am a people person. I would gladly work all day, every day with my people, doing the things that we do on every level like that. I love doing that. But when I get back to the hotel or back to my house, like I really need there to not be anybody there. And that's not like that's just reality of who we are as people, I think.
Would you consider yourself an introvert?
Absolutely, I would.
Me too.
Yeah.
That was a realization I had no idea about, because the introvert extrovert has nothing to do with your personality
Right.
or how you show up. It's how you recharge.
So
And
can
I'm
I
the same way. Yeah,
so my
yeah, go.
next question is, when you tell people that, do they try to tell you you're wrong?
um, I don't think it comes up like all the time, but I thought I was wrong.
Okay.
So, but it's interesting because like Vanessa, when there'll be times where we talked about earlier, um, in the darkness, the winter, and she's just like, I need to go to the mall and leave the house and do something.
Mm-hmm.
And she's an extrovert. She needs to
Yep.
get out. She needs to
Yep.
recharge. She can't. Whereas me, I'm like, no, I literally don't want to leave my house for 2 straight weeks. This
Mm-hmm.
sounds awesome. I have everything I need. Like, I'm gonna stay home. Um, but yeah, I think that that would probably be, if anyone that knows me or has seen me would think that that is probably, they would disagree. They'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yep. Yeah. Well, like, so I've worked in a lot of corporate spaces where like you have
Yeah.
these normative, like, okay, what's your personality? Like, how do people work with you? And I'm like, I'm an introvert. And like, no, you're not. I'm like, I please, please allow me to inform you about the realities of my life. I very much am.
I
And just
know
because
me.
I can doesn't mean that that's how I refuel to do it again.
Yes, yes, totally. It's such a balance. And that was something I figured out obviously in COVID too, where all of a sudden it was like I was forced to pause, and we had to, like, then it like turned into a struggle eventually.
Right.
But I was like, wait, this is awesome. I love me time to not always have to perform
Mm-hmm.
and have to like show up. Like, and it's cool too. Like, I just gone on this retreat down to Mexico, and it was awesome. It was there was 13 of us. It was very small and intimate, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like a recharge, like growth, development, personal,
Mm-hmm.
professional, like DJ, like connecting network. It was all this like inspiration, amazingness. I met a lot of awesome people, and there was someone there. I was like, oh my God, this is me. Like maybe last month or like 2 years ago. And I felt like I was chill and like grounded and found my base, and not like right or wrong, but just
Mm-hmm.
there was someone else that was, just like the personality, the energy, like all this. And I was like, that used to be me, because I used to think I always had to be
Yep.
like that when I
Yep.
was around other people. And it's not that that's not who I am, but I don't, it's more
It's
exhausting
exhausting.
to be like that all the time, where I can just be myself. And I'll have like my burst of energy, and I'm weird and fun and
Yeah.
quirky, like that's part of it too, but like to have it on all the time is very exhausting. So yeah,
Well, and I
that's
think
a new development.
I would pause and say, like, I think there's a piece of advice here, like, really determining whether you're an introvert or an extrovert is really helpful, good work that can help
Yeah,
create some, like, understanding about who we are and what we need that I think is beneficial. A question I would ask you, because I think I have
yeah,
felt this way a lot, is like, I think sometimes there's this expectation amongst social groups that, like, Jeff's fun, he'll bring the party, and like
yeah.
how to manage the expectation of energy level when you're not at work and in a context where that is what you've signed up to do, and like how do you manage that?
Oh, that's a whole thing as well. Because not even just like introvert extrovert, it's like what you hit on, the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Being the energy person is a burden, because if it's like, am I not allowed to have an off day? Am I not allowed to just be present? Because when you don't have it, you feel the room shift.
Yep.
And if you don't have like smiley, happy, you're like the life of the party, other people don't know how to like, other people don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's yes, you can feel the energy shift. And everyone, I'm assuming everyone has these people in their life. I have people like that are in my life, where I'm like, you are probably just having a normal day or an off day, but I know you feel it. It changes the
Yep.
dynamic of the group, the party, the conversation, everything. So, living with another person that's like that is also a difficult thing to navigate too. But yeah, it sucks. Like honestly, at times, it's
Yeah.
like the dread to be the energy of of the party. So, and it's also nice to run into other people now that are like that, are like, you carry it.
And I
Good.
think so, like, tangibly, do you
Yeah.
have tips for somebody if somebody's that person? Because I think for me, like, aging has helped. But I think like I would have loved someone like you in my life to be like, so here's a tip that I found, or here's what has helped me.
Oh, you throw me on the spot here. It's not aging. I think it's experiencing. It's
Okay.
maturing, right? It's some of that too, like because not everyone gains maturity and experience with age, but
Valid.
right. Um. Man, tips. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
It's something I still struggle with and deal with. Of if you aren't in that energy like performative space and others are expecting it and you don't have it, I don't know how to like it's tough to find it
Yeah.
or it's tough to like provide it. Um yeah,
No, I
unfortunately
think
I don't know if I
I
have
think that's helpful. Like, I think, first of all, acknowledging that it's real, like, even that
yeah.
would have helped, I think. And knowing that,
Yeah.
like, for me, maybe what that looks like in experience or maturity is like, maybe you need to find your people.
Well,
Because I think that, if I think about anyone I would call right now and be like, hey, I would love to hang out tonight, I'm not up here. And they'd be like, yeah, cool. But, like, even the ability to have that conversation requires a fair amount of honesty.
yeah.
Um, so just keep looking for your people. I think might be like the tangible, like, A, you're not alone, you're not insane. B, keep looking.
Totally. I think that is like so wise to think about because that's in all shapes. Like you have your people like professionally, like personally, like family, like there's all these things and you like navigate and as you figure out who you are and like where you're safe and comfortable throughout life, like as those like developments come to, as you say, aging, as I say,
Hmm.
experiencing, but you shed
Hmm.
like literally we're like reptiles shedding constantly,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just like and it's okay to like let go of people, things, experiences. It's also okay to like relocate things and people into their proper compartment
Hmm.
if it's not
Hmm.
at the top shelf, like it's okay to bring them down. And I like all this stuff's like expectations, right? Like and things like
Yes.
that, but expectations, but finding your people and like shedding things and people that aren't providing you or aren't aligned with like where you're going.
Yeah.
I like that was something huge that I like learned in on this retreat of like figuring out like where you want to go, what you're
Hmm.
doing, and not straying off to like shiny objects that are like instant gratification. And this could be like honestly in anything in life, but I look at it like professionally and like with work and stuff of like okay there's this like opportunity but like it's really not like a good fit for me, like it seems cool or maybe it's like a huge like financial incentive but like overall it's not like where I'm going.
Yeah.
um and it's the same for like people, right? Like I've people in my life I have just found out that they're just not on the same page. Seems like they're taking everything I give and they aren't providing me with
Hmm.
anything. Almost like energy sucks, right? So,
Yep.
um, yeah. So I think finding your people, kind of like swinging back around, is huge because they will understand or have a better understanding of like they're just not like 100% energy, but they're still themselves and they're still cool and I still want to like be with them.
Yeah.
They're just not, they don't have it on today. And
Yeah.
having that conversation is like, cool. You want to come over and watch a movie, but just like have connection and be
Right.
present?
Right.
Sick. Like I love that. And there are that's like leaning more into those people.
I think it's an important conversation. And like my hill to die on in this whole conversation series is like, we all know a lot. It's
Yeah.
time that we share the things that we know. And like,
Yeah.
again, like how do we help people navigate the
Yeah.
spaces we've been in where there weren't necessarily people to help us? And you've mentioned the thing in Mexico. So I want to
Yeah.
talk about it. I want to talk about how you found it, what it is, why you pursued it.
Yeah. So it's a small retreat. I guess how I found it. Another DJ friend of mine was speaking at it and was like heading
Okay.
to it, and he was like, he was the one that was like, hey, like I think you should like look at this. This would be interesting. I think this would be a good fit, which then led to like diving in and kind of like doing some more stuff and digging and talking with both the people that were running, Brock and Brian, and it seemed awesome. Like it seemed cool for me. There's so much like so in my profession, like there's so much out there for my profession for networking, meeting people, connecting, learning, classes, skills, like all these things. And they do like lots of these, like there's conferences like everywhere, and I've been to some, and it's just not my like vibe. I
Yeah.
feel like, you know, some of the stuff that they like touch on is more like entry level, and I was always just there to like hang out with people and kind of party and network and stuff, but like some so and it's so big. So this, it was very, being small and intimate. There was only 13 of us who stayed in a house. Um, the size was very appealing.
Yep.
Like, and it was all just like, there was some like classes, some chats and like some workshopping like things and whatnot. And it was like, but there was time in the schedule too that allowed like organicness to
Yep.
like happen, side conversations, all these things, which I'm a huge fan of, obviously, of like one-on-ones and just like shooting the shit and you just like diving into like whatever.
Yeah.
So that was how it started. So I found it, and then Vanessa was the one that was, because really at the time it was just like financially I was like, this is a lot at a bad time in my life.
Yeah. Thanks for keeping it real on Real Talk. I appreciate
Dude,
it.
right? Like that's the hardest thing is my my income is so like spiky. It's
Yep.
so high some months and so low some months. So it was like, I'm like, oh, this is a dead season.
Yeah.
And I don't have money coming in, and this is expensive, but this seems cool. And Vanessa's like, just go, you'll figure it out later. And I was like, this is
Thank
why I
you,
love you.
Vanessa.
Thank you. And so I bought a ticket like the next day,
Yep.
and I was like, I'm going. And yeah, I figured it out. And it was like so awesome. And it was so inspiring. And like, it was such a recharge for me to just meet with other people that were like similar aligned. I thought that you, it's interesting because you think that your people have to be people that you live by, people that you see regularly. And I was like, oh shit, like maybe my people are all over the country. Like
Yep.
it was like I found my people. They just live in different cities, but they're still
Yep.
my people. Where I'm like, I connect with you so much more, and you live in the Bay Area than I do with anyone that lives in the Twin Cities from like a
Yep.
professional standpoint.
Yep.
And so that was like a super cool thing. And then just inspiring, hear other people's stories, all this stuff. And then some of the things we learned was like, I think what my main nugget, which there was a lot, but the whole like, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What are you doing? Like really like hone in on what purposes and like having like short term, long term, midterm like goals. And everything should be like moving in the same direction. And there's going to be people, objects, things like, and they had talked about these, you know, these shiny objects that come along that will like veer you off your path. And I was like, holy shit, like this is happening to me, not in like a, you know, just I had noticed it in things in my life of like DJ wise, where I was like, oh, and like literally where I got caught up, I was like, and this is a morph of like my career is, oh my God, all these people are doing these. Well, one, it was like, I'm gonna do these stupid mashups on TikTok and whatever. And like, it's fun and like gets views. It's like, whatever, it's great. Then I tried to do these like parties back in like 22, 23. And I was like, oh my God, you can't play these stupid like mashup things that are funny when someone's watching it. You can't do that at a dance party. So I realized that I was like, okay, I have to like
Interesting.
like
Okay. Yep.
program. Then it was like, okay, I'm doing these parties. I need to do all these crazy mixes, mashups, word plays, things that other people are doing to get these views. And like, I need to like focus, like my live party, it needs to be like recorded so that I can reproduce it and it can be like grasped online. And that was literally like from this last New Year's, like it was a good party, but like when I stepped back, I like rewatched it and then like talking to you, I'm like, that's not me either. Like my superpower is having fun and
Yep.
connecting with people and like throwing a party that's safe and creative and fun and energetic, and it's just very like nostalgic and I don't know, it's awesomeness. And yeah, like I'm good at what I do, but some of this other stuff, I'm like, this is for these other people that don't have what I have. And I kind of got lost, I think, in this last year, even of like trying to do these things that was like, oh, this is cool, but like, is it is it important to like the party or whatever? Like,
Yep.
kind of thing. So like that was where I was like strain of like, oh, let me do this so I can record it and put it on TikTok to get views. And it's like I was losing sight of, well, what's the most important thing about the party is like having a moment with someone and like connecting and
Hmm.
scream singing to Katy Perry. Like that's the shit I want to do. But instead I'm like locked in on like, oh, like I have to do this. Sorry, like our moment can't exist.
Yep.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so that was just like a recent development for me of just like, and not that you don't want to do both, but it's like finding balance.
Hmm.
And that where I think some of that stuff and some of the things I was like doing like career wise or professionally, I was like, that's really not like me. Like it's a part of me, but like that I was like straying off my like path. And I think that's important to like don't veer off your path, whether it's I don't know, this or that. Like I don't know, podcasts or like
Yep. Yep.
like there's things like are you an educator or like in my world it's like are you an educator of DJs or are you a DJ? Like if you want to be a DJ educator, great, go and do that, but if
Yep.
that's not your goal, like that would be straying off your path, and that was like my thing, like I'm not a DJ's DJ, if that makes sense.
It does. It does make sense. Like it actually makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I had to like I kind of knew that, right? Like I'm good, I'm great at what I do, but there are so many other people that are technical and they do, and I'll be the first to admit it. Like there are other DJs. My friend Steve is like a wizard. The shit he does, I'm like, oh my God. There are DJs like that where they do stuff and I'm like, I don't even understand how that like thought process happened, and this is unbelievable. That's not me. I never will be. My thing is like being fun. I'll make something silly together, but then it's like the live shows, the connection, like people resonate with me for not doing something like weird and wild and
Yeah.
performative on a thing, and so I think a lot of DJs are probably like, well, let's be real. They're all in my comments. They all hate me. They think I'm fake, and they're like, "This is too. You can never please everyone." And but I'm not a DJ's DJ. I'm a DJ for like people, like
You're the people's
like
princess, okay? Like
yeah, pop princess. I like pop princess.
I
Yeah,
love it.
people's princess, pop princess. Like yeah, that's more like my lane. Um, and I think I stepped into that other lane to thinking that was where I should go, and I realized not that it was a bad thing, but I realized like, no, that's like not my lane. Let me stay in my
Yeah.
lane.
Well, and like I think sometimes when I think about the phrase stay in your lane, it feels restrictive. Like this is where you're supposed to be versus like
Yeah.
this is where I move fastest.
Yeah.
This is where I move most meaningfully. Like there's a positive to finding your lane.
Oh, 100%. I think that that's very important of figuring out where you want to go. And I could be way better at this, but short-term goals, you know, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year goals kind of things, and like long-term goals, like, right?
Yeah.
Like I am not good at goal setting, but that also I know is very helpful, like where do you want to go? And I think there is some trial and error, but having the awareness during that period of being like, well, I'm going to try it.
Hmm.
And then generally by the time it even comes and you even like do the event or the task or whatever, right? You probably have figured out like it's not like my lane. I had this with a party. Like I have a party and or like doing a party and it's like, oh yeah, it sounds cool. Like let's do it. And then like comes up and then by the time you get there, like that's we're good, or whatever it is. So, um, yeah, the trial and error of like figuring out. But yeah, having that's part of like the experience too, right? Like I think it's important to try. I'm like backtracking. It's important to try shit, right? Like if you're
Yep.
figuring things out, you have to like put your fingers out into different buckets and like
Yep.
figure out because I think that's important too of like maybe you don't know what you want or what you want to do, but I bet you could tell me what you don't want or what you don't want to do. And that is helpful moving towards figuring out what you do want and what you do want to do.
Yes.
So
Pardon me while I scribble that down, because I think like
yeah,
my whole thing has been like so much of us learned what not to do. And like in
yeah,
some senses, those instances stuck out so dramatically that they stuck with you. Versus, I'm sure I was in situations where there were positives, but I didn't notice them.
yeah,
They didn't sting as much or they didn't feel as off. And so I do think like you might not know what you want to do, but I bet you could tell me what you don't want to do. And like that is so tangibly profound about like I think even the conversation about the lanes, like this seems like a thing like, oh, that did not feel as good as I thought, like okay, so this is my like, but
mm,
like how do you navigate that if you're not willing to try? And
yeah,
I do think the other thing that is hard about work like yours, and I would put Patrick's in the same category of like,
yeah,
so often you're booking or scheduling things for actually a completely different season in your life. And so then you
yeah,
have to like live with and deal with decisions you've made that by the time you get there, you're like, I actually knew like 3 weeks ago this probably wasn't it for me, but like
yeah,
I'm here now. And like, so I think there is a space where like your decisions are things you have to think through, work through, perform through simply because that meeting wasn't tomorrow at 9 a.m. It's 3 to 6 months out.
100%. Yeah, yeah. It's and honestly, that's like the hardest part too. Is sometimes even like I love weddings and I do a lot of weddings, but I've really like pulled back and just not from like the wedding aspect itself. I think that advanced commitment is very that is tough. And like,
Yeah.
you had said 3 to 6 months or like I just had someone reach out to me for September of 2027. That is 18 months away,
I don't even know who I'll be in September 2027. Okay.
right? Nor what your mental capacity is,
Yep.
what you're, obviously like, sick, whatever, things like that. But like, are you going to be like burnt out? Are you going to want to be pivoting? Are you going to not
Yeah.
want to try? Like, there's so many other factors that go into like that. And it's wild that there's not really anything, some of these like gigs, events, and stuff where you're booking and planning your schedule so far in
Mm-hmm.
advance, not knowing what mental space you're going to be at. And also, like, it's so weird to price yourself for a future version of yourself.
Yes.
That
That
is
part.
very, it's so difficult, but like, I know personally, like, I will be a better version of myself in a month, in
Yep.
6 months,
Yep.
in 18 months,
Yep.
right? I know that because I will continue to like drive and keep going and I
Right.
want that. And I think a lot of people are like that too. But so how do you price the better, and that's where I think some of the pricing stuff is very interesting too.
The pricing stuff is crazy because what we're talking about is pricing futures. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I charged you what I will be worth a year and a half from now, you would balk at the prices, and I understand why. But also,
right.
inflation isn't. I mean, like even current status of the world be damned. I could have had this conversation 10 years ago, and I would have been saying the same thing. Like
Yeah,
things are not going to cost the same in a year and a half as they do now. But no one in the industry isn't built to even like this is actually, I've been doing this since Evelyn. No, I mean, I was a studio photographer in high school, but then I freelanced from like 2008ish on. I've not had this conversation with anybody except Patrick.
It it's wild. I understand. I'm aware I charge a premium for what I do. Um, but other people as well, it's like the same concept. I think the price is irrelevant. I think being aware of like future charge, like, and that's the thing is like, you don't get to lock in a rent price for next, like rent
Correct.
goes up. Like you don't get
Correct.
to lock in an interest rate to buy a house. Like you don't get to lock in like grocery. Nothing in this world locks in a price
Right.
for like a year in advance.
No.
And also too, it's like some of the stuff too, it's like I'm also like literally blocking off an entire day and weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
That,
Yeah. And that doesn't include the prep time of
yeah,
like
yeah,
meeting with you or figuring out what your vibe is or
yeah,
like, and I think like
yeah.
what it's such an interesting kind of phenomenon because like what we're talking about is excellence.
Mm,
And I will give credit all day long to Chalamet for like I'm in pursuit of greatness. Like
mm.
that comes with a price. That comes with an awareness of who I am and what I bring to the table. Um, but I think there has been like there are always young up and comers. There's always a more corporate
Always.
option. And so like I think there does need to be this like honest level setting about who you are and what you bring to the table. And
Yeah.
that's true for an accountant listening, that's true for a photographer, a DJ, a motivational speaker. Like I feel like so much of this conversation comes back to the concept of honesty, honest with yourself, honest with your people, honest with your gut, honest about what you bring to the table.
100%. And knowing your worth.
Hmm.
I think people sell themselves so short, or they're, they just, I wish everyone would charge more, more than what they do. When we're talking, I'm talking from like a entrepreneur, like a personal,
Yep.
like I run my business, this is what I do. Like I'm good at what I do. Like I'm going to charge a premium price because I know I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a lot of people that are really good at what they do that don't charge their worth and sell themselves short. And it is scary. It like all the like entrepreneurial stuff of like not knowing what your income is like in 6 months or what,
Yep.
but I think it's having that idea of like, well, we'll figure it out. Like if I need to like do something else, like we can do it. If I need to like work harder, I do. Like it's just like a constant like evolution of like growth, being better, knowing your worth, being honest, like finding your people. Like it's so, like all like layer, everything's like connected, right?
Yep.
But yeah, being honest with yourself, I think is important too. Yeah.
That's fascinating. And I think like I think the other thing that we're talking about here is like a willingness to say like when, freelancing or entrepreneurial realities. You said spiky and I
Yeah.
appreciated it. Like the highs are high and the lows are lows.
Yes.
Like the highs are really really high and the lows are really really low.
Yeah.
um and sometimes that means saying no to something that doesn't feel aligned even in the lows. And like that's scary, right?
Very. Yeah. That's the scariest part. But if we're not operating and running from that, like, what would it be like a fear based mindset? Like,
Mhm.
I can't think of the word, but like, I don't know, just like, yeah, like this operating off of fear, but operating off of you're buying stock in yourself.
Yep.
So it's so easy to like, it's, it is so easy when you are in the dumps, when you are low, whether that's work or like professionally
Yep.
as an entrepreneur, like everyone, we all deal with this shit, right? Like mental like state, personal, family, professional relationships, like all this stuff, like ups and downs. When you're low and operating from like a fear-based mindset of like, I don't know, is scary. And we tend to grab things
Yep.
that don't align with what we want. That maybe it's that, oh, again, shiny object. Someone's giving me some cash that will probably help me a lot right now, but it's not good for where I'm going, or it's not like what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trusting yourself and putting in the work to be in a position to trust yourself that actually a better opportunity is coming.
Yeah.
And I know that. And and if not, like, I am going to create it. Like, I'm going to put myself in a position that this will happen. And it is crazy. This happened to me when I came back from Mexico. Is I was thinking about like what I wanted to do and like talking about like this alignment, not strain or whatever. And I felt so much more like focused of like, okay, this is where I'm rolling. This is what I want to do.
Yep.
Literally had someone reach out to me and was like, hey, we want to like collaborate and do a party with you that is under like the vision of what you want to do. And then we want to like trial it and tour it. And I'm like, this is literally what I was talking about like
Yes.
yesterday. It's crazy that those things will come to you if you put that out there, like that energy that, you know,
Yep.
however, like you look at things, but it's just like, I'm aligned. This is what I want to do. I'm going to put my energy down here. Shit comes. And then also to go with that, when you are so much more like aligned, it is so much more clear to see who's not with you. Like, it is wild when you become more centered and focused, then it is so clear to see what's not matching.
Yep.
I like, it's hard to, this is like a new development for me. It's happened in like the last month of like opportunity coming in
Yep.
that was like exactly what I'm looking for. And then other things that were like, yeah, this probably isn't my vibe or my fit. It doesn't roll with me. And we're gonna like shed that away
Yep.
and like move into new space. You just like can see and feel. It's just like so much more clear. It's cool.
Well, and I do think about like I love the word alignment. I'm big on alignment right now because I think it
Yeah.
also like it feels relatable. Like if you've ever gone to a
Yeah.
chiropractor, if you've ever gotten your car aligned, like there are these functions that like I'm going to use the car example because I'm not a doctor.
It's great. This is great.
Like when there's also something in my eye. Okay.
It is.
When your car is not aligned, it's not just unenjoyable. Your vehicle wears and tears in spaces it's not supposed to. And like that's how I think about like noticing the things that aren't for you in that aligned space. Like it is literally the opposite of like everything's actually healthier. Everything is
Yeah.
better. Everything is makes sense, moves in a direction, feels right. You're not spending this constant like I think about the way we get in our head when we get into something we're not supposed to be in. And like I agreed
Yeah.
to do this thing, I took the money, now I have to do it.
Yeah.
6 months ago I felt differently about it. Now I'm like this was a mistake. And like
Well
that
done.
doesn't
Yeah.
feel good. And so it's hard, like that's a cloudy headspace, right?
Yes.
Like I'm so burdened by this situation that I can't see the things that shouldn't be there. It's not immediately recognizable that this isn't for me.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, I love the car analogy. Yeah, it is. It's wear and tear. And yeah, it's just like there's so much, but like it's like these energy suckers. Like, it's just, you feel when you realize that and you remove that, like your energy, your space, your time, like your clarity, like everything is just can function at such a higher level when you start doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like mindful of time and how much of your time I said I would take, but I have two more questions.
All right, let's go.
My first question is I work in a lot of spaces with a lot of creatives who
Yeah.
sometimes wrestle with turning their creativity into their profession.
Hmm.
And has that been hard for you, or do you have encouragement or advice, or like is it just hard all the time?
Creativity, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. You're good with analogies and words. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about, but like putting it into
It's
words
real. It's
it's
real. Yeah.
not a strength of mine. And some people are so much more eloquent. I am not. So let me just like throw what
Yeah,
I'm
you
thinking.
got it.
Creative space comes and goes like anything else. But putting yourself in a position to have more creativity can be achieved. It's like setting yourself up for success to be. So for my instances, I have been for 3 years talking about producing and wanting to produce, put out my own music, remixes, tour, festivals. Like these are like things that I want to do, but I get bogged down by other things that are pulling away my time and space from that.
Yep.
Now that I have actually in my schedule have had more free time and I have locked myself in. And so normally if I were to like sit down on a random like Wednesday, you kind of like blocked, right? It's like maybe it's successful, maybe it's not.
Yep.
But when I consistently put myself down to allow the space for that to happen and it becomes more regularity, then my brain is more apt to like I'll be allowed to like flow. I think like I don't know if that makes sense, but like
no, it makes it absolutely makes sense.
I think putting yourself in a space consistently helps. And definitely there are challenges, roadblocks, burnout. Like you deal with all this stuff. And I have too. Like that was part of my thing from my experience of like, okay, cool, like this mashup thing. And like you're like seeking, digging and like doing this. And then it got to a point where I'm like, this kind of sucks. I don't like it. So then it's like it doesn't seem cool. It's not work. Like and then it's like exhausting, it's burnout. And of course, like if you have your fingers in too many other things, you don't have the space, but allowing more space and room to fill up your bucket and like being consistent with it, I think helps create creativity. Everyone has creativity. Some people pursue it as a career, whatever, like I do. But if you put yourself in a position to allow consistency and space, I think you can make more of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it all made sense. Like, I think it's really important. I think it's really valuable. I think it will be really encouraging, not just to me, but to others, because I think it feels so intangible. And like what you're saying is like, so like you got to make room for it. You got to be consistent with it. You got to create spaces where, like, how are you faithful to your own creativity is like how I feel like summarize what you said. Like, you can't just hope it continues. Like that's not how anything in this world works, right?
No, you got to feed it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a pet. You feed your pet. So like by feeding it and feeding it quality stuff, right? Like can you, whatever it is, like can you have 2 hours of uninterrupted time? Like don't touch your phone. Don't be sidetracked. Like things like that. And then it may not happen in that first 2 hour setting, but then if you do that again tomorrow for 2 hours, maybe it's a better chance. It's like my brother gave me like it's like buying lottery tickets. Like that was was the same with like social stuff, right? Like it's like posting social stuff is like if it's what you like and you're passionate about it, like you're just buying lottery tickets. Like they're all good. Like these are all things, but like I don't know, some pop, some don't. Like I don't know. Sometimes you buy a lottery ticket and you don't win. Sometimes you win. But
no, that's like mind-boggling. Like that's like crazy because like you'll buy a lottery ticket and it might not hit. You don't stop buying. Okay, I do because I don't buy lottery tickets because that's not my thing. But it's a lot of people's thing. And so if it was as many people's thing in their creative space, that like what are the things you purchase and it's okay if they don't all hit. Like that is such a good illustration.
Yeah, because even like if you sit down for 2 hours and you're like I didn't really get anything done. I was blocked. Like I had like, okay, but can you repeat these patterns?
Yep.
And at some point, like you're gonna get unblocked, and then you're gonna flow, and then you just cook, like
Everything you said was important up until this point, but right now my mind is like losing it because like that is such like like you don't say okay, so it didn't work and never touch it again. Like you keep trying. Oh my gosh!
Right? Trials and tribulations.
Oh my!
It's part of like this is we're entrepreneur. Like I'm an entrepreneur. Like I gamble on myself. I'm a creative. I'm a performer. Like yes, there's things that like aren't going to work, but doesn't mean I'm just like just because someone told me something or the event wasn't as great as I wanted, or like someone's hateful online, or like, I don't know, like doesn't mean I'm going to pack up and just go work at Starbucks. Like, not that there's
Yeah.
anything wrong with working at Starbucks,
No, it's just
but you know what I mean? I'm not just
do a
switching
9 to 5.
careers.
Yeah.
Yes, but you know what? Let's learn from that. I'm going to rewatch it. Let's do it better.
Yeah.
Like, maybe there is something, how can I make it better? I think that's so big too, of like, how can I be better? The constant need to be better. And like, of course, like there's a whole lane too of like perfectionism and dealing with that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Becomes like numbing. Um, but yeah, just I think the desire, like keep going, like pushing, like things happen, like the creative space, like success, like all this happens, but you have to just keep going. Like none of this stuff happens overnight. Like I think you get lost in this like instant gratification thing. Like when people ask me from my experience on like social media, it's like, well, actually I posted in January of 2022, and I basically got nothing for 11 months. My success story is different from like my friend Eric Rhodes, who his happened quicker. It was like within a month or two, but he got started earlier. So, and his stuff was a little different. But like, I put in the work for like 11 months before I saw any sort of like,
Yep.
oh, okay. And then you roll with it. And then it's like, so it's not like I just like did something cool and like popped. Like, I don't know. I've been doing a lot of awful stuff and being consistent for like 4 years. And like, same with like my, like my career, my social, like
Yep.
all these things. Like, it's been like 4 years of like trials and like putting myself out there and like being vulnerable and
Mm-hmm.
being consistent and changing things and doing new things and trying things different and learning and pushing boundaries, like to like now just get to a place where I'm like, this is cool. But now where do we go? Like, right?
Like now what? Yeah.
So like, yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, but you have to be consistent. You have to allow space. You have to buy the lottery tickets. Like, yeah.
Again, everything before this was valuable, but I am like stuck right here and like
Great.
so grateful for the conversation, so grateful for
Yeah.
this like just real I guess that's why they call it real talk. But my last question is, how do people find and follow you?
DJ Hampster Dance with a P, Hampster, Hampster Dance. DJ Hampster Dance pretty much everywhere. It's just that. DJHamsterDance.com, TikTok, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Right? Anywhere and everywhere. Yeah.
Anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you. I'm so grateful for you. This conversation was so important. Thanks for letting me bully you into doing this. And
happy to help my friends.
It's great to see you.
It's so good to see you too. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome. Thanks for the dope intro. I don't know if that will ever happen again. I will be forever seeking that now. So thanks for setting the bar high and now leaving me disappointed for everything else.
It's what you did for me with every other DJ. So you know what? Takes one to know one. And I love you. Tell Vanessa I said hi. And can't wait to see you soon, hopefully.
Yes.
Bye, friend.